In 2020, we actually managed to upload a truly impossible level onto Super Mario Maker servers. This level was truly impossible to beat. But this level also had a critical flaw. A critical flaw that made the level as useless as it was impossible. Our truly impossible level violated Nintendo's terms of service. The level was abusing a glitch to make it unbeatable. Nintendo mercilessly deletes levels that abuse their draconic terms of service. And this problem is the very problem that this video is all about. You see, recently certified Super Mario Maker wizard Psycrow was reaching out to me with a little challenge. He challenged me to come up with a design for a level in Super Mario Maker that cannot be beaten by anyone in the community, but that at the same time does not violate Nintendo's terms of service. A level that neither Mario Maker's community can defeat nor Nintendo delete. So I actually started tinkering around with this idea about 6 months ago. It took me a ridiculous amount of tinkering to come up with such a legally impossible level, but I think after countless hours, I finally had a breakthrough. So what was this fabulous breakthrough? Well, believe it or not, it is the blinking animation of a clown car. In this video, we're going to take a look at this very design. We're going to take a deep dive into the academic theory of Mario Maker cryptography, and in the end, we will not only take a look at a level that I believe to be impossible to beat, but also learn a lot about the very nature of science. And of course, of clown cars. So gentle ladies, gentlemen, and gentle people in general, are you ready? Then let's do this. Alrighty right, so when Psycrow challenged me to try to figure out a way to upload a legally impossible level, I very quickly came to the conclusion that there is only one possible path to upload such a stage. The thing is the following: we can't do it by making the level incredibly difficult, so difficult that only we can beat it. What is the reason why such an approach can't work? Well, because for this to work, I would need to be the very best Super Mario Maker player in the world as of right now and for all time to come, which as it turns out, I'm not. The other obvious option? Well, the other obvious option would be to upload a level that uses a weird esoteric Mario Maker mechanic that only I am aware of, but that the community has never encountered before. Unfortunately for us, such an attempt is also doomed before we even start, for two very simple reasons. First, unfortunately, I do not happen to sit on a big pile of unknown Mario Maker mechanics that no one but me has ever encountered, but second, and even more importantly, even if we were to come up with such a mechanic, there is no way to make sure that we will stay the only one aware of it for all of eternity. Eventually, someone would figure out what is going on and beat the level that way. So we can neither pull something like this off with skills nor with game knowledge, which kind of leaves us with only one final option. The only way a truly impossible level could ever be uploaded is via cryptography. We have to come up with a password system that is impossible to crack for anyone but the level's creator, which already confronts us with our next problem because in our last video we just discussed in way too much detail why every historic attempt to do serious Super Mario Maker encryption has failed so far. We can't go over all of it in detail here again, but the big takeaway was that so far all Mario Maker encryption attempts suffered from a critical design flaw. They all managed to obscure the solution to their lock in some way, but unfortunately there is no true security through obscurity. An encryption system is only truly secure if every part of it is public knowledge but the key that is required to open it, which already confronts us with our central problem. How in all of Bowser's castles are we supposed to come up with an encryption algorithm that is public knowledge but that still can only be opened using a secret key? How is something like this even supposed to work in theory? Well, I am glad that you're asking, because before we can attempt to create such a mechanism in Super Mario Maker, we have to understand how such algorithms work in our own boring world. And to understand how encryption algorithms in our own world work, we first have to talk about something extraordinarily exciting, something as simple as tremendous. Are you ready to learn about one of the coolest things that there is? Then let's talk about number theory. Here are a bunch of numbers. To the common eye, these numbers just look like numbers. But this is an illusion, a common misconception caused by lack of knowledge, because some of these numbers aren't like other numbers. Some numbers are better numbers than others. Some numbers are foundational. They are superior to their peer numbers. They are the numbers that numbers are made of. You see, most of the numbers at display here can be divided up by another number. Most of those numbers have a common enemy that is capable to slash them into tiny pieces. An 8, for example, can be slashed into a bloody pool of 2s by any 4 that happens to encounter it. A 15 can gorefully be divided into equal parts of 3 by any rogue 5 it ever meets. A 7, however, nothing can slash a 7 into pieces, nor can a 13 or an 11 be defeated by any number it encounters. Those numbers are stronger than their common peers. They are exceptional. Mathematicians, physicists, and other groupies have been fascinated by these numbers for countless centuries. These numbers are so critical and so superior that there was only one name that the academic world could have ever given them. They call those numbers prime numbers. You want to hear something amazing about those prime numbers? Well, check this out. To this day, mathematicians are not able to accurately predict prime numbers. If we were to count to infinity, then some numbers along the way will be awesome prime numbers that can't be split by anyone but themselves, while most other numbers will be disappointing normie numbers. Here's the thing, no one knows when a prime number will come up while counting. Prime numbers are so secretive and so mysterious that it is impossible to predict when they will enrich our counting experience by appearing spontaneously. But it gets even better. You see, as it turns out, every number in existence that is not prime itself can be slashed into prime numbers. Exciting, I know. Take 1003 as an example. 1003 is not prime. It is lame. It is a lame number that is built out of exciting prime numbers, which raises an obvious question. What are the incredible prime numbers that are at the root of 1003? And this is where things become so fascinating and actually become relevant for our Mario Maker encryption purposes. Because there is only one way to figure out which prime numbers 1003 is made out of. And that is via trial and error. Maybe it's 3 times 5 times 67? Nope, that's 1005. Maybe it's 7 by 11 by 13? Nope, that's 1001. Oh dear, well, let's try 17 by 59. Bingo! 1003 is built out of 17 times 59. Hooray! Here's where this gets truly magical. There is no known formula to calculate this. There is no simple rule set that we can follow to calculate what awesome prime numbers a number is formed of. The only way to factorize a lame number into the prime numbers that it consists of is trial and error. And doing this becomes very complicated very quickly. Take 24,626,731,021. 24,626,731,021 is obviously a lame number. We can immediately tell this because of its lack of aura. Does anyone know what prime numbers that number is made out of? Yeah, that's a bit tricky, isn't it? Luckily for us, we're living in the 21st century. We can just ask artificial intelligence for a solution. So what is ChatGPT's opinion on the matter? Well, ChatGPT says that the number is made out of 43 by 571 by 1,003,021, which is a very interesting take. Unfortunately for us, those numbers multiplied do not end up being the same number that we just entered into ChatGPT. What is Gemini's opinion on that matter? Well, that the number is built by multiplying 11 with another very large prime number, which is also an excellent guess. Unfortunately, that second prime number turns out not to be prime. Oh dear, the artificial intelligence doesn't know the answer. Here's the plot twist. The most impressive computational networks that the world has ever seen might not be able to solve this problem. But I am, because the answer is 109,303 and 225,307. So why am I able to solve a problem that gigantic computational networks are not able to solve? Well, because I knew the answer in advance, of course. I sneakily looked up two big prime numbers and just multiplied them. And this, gentle ladies, gentlemen, and gentle people in general, is the core idea behind modern encryption. It is trivial to know what prime numbers a large number is made out of if we were the ones who who pick the prime numbers. It is, however, close to impossible to figure out those two numbers if all you know is the final result. The only way to do this is via trial and error. But since numbers can become infinitely big, there eventually comes a point at which there are infinitely possible prime numbers that could form any given number, which makes it impossible to compute them backwards. Because even the most powerful computers can't calculate an infinite amount of calculations. In modern encryption, we take a mathematical problem that is trivial to solve if we have full knowledge about the problem, but that is impossible to compute if we only know some parts of the information. In the boring real world, the problems used for this are actually often prime factorizations or specific calculations on points on elliptic curves. But in Mario Maker, well, that's the 1 million fuzzy question, isn't it? We need to find a problem in Super Mario Maker that is trivial to solve if we have full information about it, but that can't be reverse engineered just by knowing the solution to the problem. So how in all of Bowser's castles are we ever going to do that? Well, I'm so glad you're asking. Gentle ladies, gentlemen, and gentle people in general, we have to talk about the blink behavior of clown cars. So check this out. Here we have two clown cars happily waiting in the editor for their moment to shine. As soon as we start the game, something incredible happens. Something truly stunning and exceptional. Are you ready to get your mind blown? Well, here it is. Did you catch it? Unbelievable, isn't it? One clown car blinks before the other does. Clown cars do not blink at the same time. Fascinating, I know. What this means is that the blink behavior of clown cars is randomized. Each clown car has a timer running that randomly decides after how many seconds it will blink. And that is huge. You see, as most of you exceptionally smart people probably know by now, there is no true randomness in Super Mario Maker. Every random event in the game is actually deterministic. The first random event in each level will always be the same, and so will the 100th. We can visualize this using a ladder. Each step on it represents one specific random event that will always play out the same. Whenever the game needs a random event, it takes the current ladder step and moves us one step upwards. So far so good, but what has all of this to do with the blinking behavior of a clown car? Well, the blinking behavior of a clown car is randomized, which means clown cars take a number off of the RNG ladder each time they blink. What happens is the following. When a clown car is loaded, it takes one number off of the RNG ladder and uses it to calculate a random number between 0 and 170. Next, the clown car adds 10 to this number, and this is it. That's the timer. This timer is how many frames have to pass until the clown car will blink. Since Mario Maker runs at 60 frames per second, that means that a clown car blinks at any given moment in the first 3 seconds after it was loaded, but not within the very first 10 frames. Whenever the clown car closes its eyes, it takes another number off of the RNG ladder, and when it opens its eyes again, it takes a new number for a new timer. Awesome. But why is the blink behavior of a clown car so special, I hear you ask? Well, because it is RNG that is dependent on RNG. Clown cars will blink differently depending on how many random events took place before. You see where this is headed? If we were to build a stage in Mario Maker in which no random events can take place, but the blinking of clown cars, then the clown cars will blink depending on how many clown cars blinked previously. Check this out. This here is a simple proof of concept stage for a potential encryption algorithm that works because of the blinking behavior of clown cars. So first, we have to void player RNG so that only the clown cars themselves can generate RNG calls. Luckily, this is surprisingly simple in Mario Maker. All that we have to do is to put our plumber underwater and never allow him to surface ever again. Usually, Mario would call the RNG function when walking, standing, or jumping off of the ground. But as soon as he's underwater, this does no longer happen. For whatever reason, every source of player RNG is voided as soon as Mario is underwater. So here we have a simple looping room. We're dropped into it by one of those two doors, and then a bullet bill picks us up and moves us along a conveyor belt. In this room, we enter a password that is required to leave the level again. We enter the password by either going through the door to the left or going through the other door to the right. Those are our only two options. At the top there is a little counter contraption that counts how often this room was loaded. The 5th time we enter this room, the counter triggers an on-off block. Once this block is very triggered, the path forward opens up forcing us to leave the loop. Our little bullet blaster prison now carries Mario into 5 coin flip machines. If we lose any of those coin flips, another on-off trigger gets activated, and Mario will find an unfortunate end by being crushed between the 2 blasters. If he happens to win every coin flip, however, he's allowed to leave the stage. The only way for Mario to win these coin flips is by reaching a very specific step on the RNG ladder, and the way he reaches this step, well, this is where things get really interesting. So let's take a look at what is hiding behind those 2 doors. That is right, behind the first door, there are exactly 4 clown cars. Behind the other one, there are 40 clown cars. That's the whole trick. So why do those 2 rooms make it possible for us to build a functional encryption algorithm in Mario Maker, I hear you ask? Well, because of the blink behavior of clown cars, of course. Here's the thing, those rooms are set up in such a way that we are roughly for 1.5 seconds inside them, meaning that each clown car on screen has roughly a chance of 1 in 2 to blink while we're in the room. So each clown car takes a number off of the RNG ladder and calculates how long it will take until it will blink. If it ends up blinking while we are in this room, then it takes another number as it closes its eyes and 1 more as it opens its eyes again. Sometimes a single clown car even blinks twice while we're in the room. This means that the clown cars in this room move us between none steps to roughly 12 steps up on the RNG ladder while we're in it. If we walk through the other door, however, we move 0 to 120 steps upwards, with the actual result following a Gaussian distribution, meaning most of the times it will be a number between 20 to 80. Here's the thing, the amount of clown car blinking that will happen whenever we enter a room is dependent on our position on the RNG ladder. Since we void all player RNG, the only way to change our position on the ladder is via blinking clown cars. In other words, the number of clown car blinks in any given room is dependent on the amount of previous clown car blinks. So since this is a bit abstract, imagine the following little game. We have a long line, and alongside this line there are many stops. Above those stops, there is always a number between 1 and 4. Below those stops, there is always a number between 5 and 10. These numbers are randomized. The rules of the game are now super simple. We always have to move a number of steps to the right. We choose to either move the amount written atop or below forward. So for the first step, we either walk 2 steps to the right or 7. Depending on how we walked during this first step, we now either walk 1 or 6 steps to the right or 3 or 9, and so on. Our goal is to exactly reach a very specific spot after an exact amount of steps. Say we walk for exactly 10 steps and have to end up exactly on the 50th step. If we are below this number or above it, then we lose. If we reach it exactly, we win. Solving a problem like this is surprisingly complicated. With only 10 steps and low numbers, it's simple, but if we scale this and increase the numbers, then the problem becomes infinitely more complex. It becomes very complicated to calculate how to reach a specific step in this game the bigger the game becomes. It is, however, incredibly easy to reach a specific step in the game again if we have reached it before. All that we have to do is to pick the same combination of upper and lower numbers again. Do you see where this is headed? A problem like this is a similar problem to the factorization of awesome prime numbers. If we scale such a problem large enough, then a computer can no longer calculate it. Even if we know the final result of the additions, at a certain point it becomes impossible to calculate it backwards without knowing the code that we used before. It is a problem that can be used as the basis for an encryption algorithm. And this is of course exactly what our brave clown cars are doing. Each time we walk through a door, we add a certain amount of steps on the RNG ladder because of the blinking of the clown cars. The left door always adds a small number, the right one always a large number. Here we repeat the process for 4 steps and then we check if we added up to the right number. This here is an actual encryption mechanism. Here's what this looks like in action. If we happen to go to the left again, and finally once more to the left, then would you look at this, we win every single coin flip. If we were to go to the right first, then twice to the left again, and finally once more to the right, then Mario gets ouchfully crushed. And the same is true for every other input combination. The additions only add up to the correct result if we walk through the doors in exactly the correct order. This here is our key, but it gets even better. Even if people were to know the final result of our encryption, meaning that even if people were to figure out which step on the RNG ladder they would have to reach in the end, they still would not know how to get there. They would have to calculate our little addition game back to the beginning, something that becomes impossible if we scale the problem large enough. Gentle ladies, gentlemen, and gentle people in general, this is it. This here is an actual encryption algorithm that hashes our password. It is a Mario Maker algorithm that theoretically should be able to provide real security. All that is left to do for us is to scale up this contraption until it is big enough to really provide security, which unfortunately confronts us with a bunch of unfortunate problems. We have to figure out a couple of problems to scale this theoretical lock. So first, our biggest problem. The counter. Our counter dictates how often we will walk through either of the doors. We need it to be able to count to a reasonably high number without using too many items off of the entity limit. Luckily for us, the solution ended up being actually surprisingly simple. Here we have a spike ball on top of a conveyor belt. The spike ball rolls into a brick block. Once a brick block was destroyed, it can no longer load in the next time the level is loaded. So each time we load the level, the spike ball destroys the new brick block, slowly counting upwards. After a while, the spike ball will hit the final brick block. This brick block was spawn blocking a bullet bill that now will load in the next time we load this room. Above the bullet bill, there's another spike ball. Up until now, this unfortunate spike ball always fell off of a cliff after spawning, immediately destroying it before it can do any counting. Sad. Now that the bullet blaster is loading in, however, the ball no longer drops to its doom, but gets destroyed by a brick block, finally making its death count. Happy. This simple contraption uses relatively few entities, is stackable, and can count up to 13 per cell. This counter is actually surprisingly scalable. It is easily possible to have such a system count up to 100 and even beyond. Since we have to be very careful with the entity limit, I ended up settling for 5 such counting cells in the final design, which means our input code is 65 actions long. Next, we have to come up with the coin flip machines. Here we use a super simple design. We simply boom a bob omb by driving an ice block into it as soon as the game loads. The booming causes local coins to drop down. We optimize this design for using few entities by having each boomplosion drop down 2 coins, one to the bob omb's right and one to its left, which means each ice block contracts and each bob omb gives us 2 coin flips in total. We set up 20 such cells for a total of 40 coin flips, which means the chance to accidentally guess the correct result is 2 to the power of 40, or absolute overkill for an algorithm that at its core checks for the result of additions. Hooray! Next we have to get Mario into the loop and make sure that he can't escape by any means. Luckily, that one turned out to be quite simple as well. We simply use a pipe and this contraption. This contraption here destroys itself as soon as the game is loaded, vanishing without a trace. If Mario wants to leave the room again, however, by piping back to the entrance, then this contraption then murders our poor plumber in an ouchful spikening. Finally, we have to make sure that the player can't move along the RNG ladder by any other means than by walking through the doors and observing the clown cars while they do their blinky blink. Being underwater already removes almost all layers of player RNG that we have to worry about. But there is one final problem: the dumb bullet blaster. You see, every time we load into the counter, the stupid blaster spits out a dumb bullet bill. Rude, I know. The big problem, well, if we were to move towards the blaster while on the conveyor belt, then it stops spitting. And that's a problem, because each time the dumb blaster blasts, it moves us upwards on the RNG ladder. Spitting generates RNG, which gives the player a way to manipulate the total RNG calls that take place. We have to stop the bullet bill from firing, which raises a question. How does one deactivate a dumb bullet bill? Well, luckily that's actually surprisingly simple. All that we have to do is to put a power-up into the blaster and then spawn 100 power-ups out of screen every time we load the level. If the entity limit C is filled, which it is if there are 100 power-ups loaded, then the stupid blaster can no longer fire its power-up. The mushrooms above drop onto snake blocks, which are global ground, meaning the mushrooms never despawn, making it impossible for the blaster to fire. And that's it. That is all that we had to do. Gentle ladies, gentlemen, and gentle people in general, here we are. I proudly present our final level, simply called In the Blink of a Clown Car, a level that went online alongside this video. The level ID is in the description. To complete In the Blink of a Clown Car, Mario has to walk through these 2 doors 65 times. The 66th time the level is loaded, the exit opens up and we are moved into 40 coin flip machines. Only if we win all coin flips we can actually reach the flagpole. So to win the level we have to enter the correct code out of 2 to the power of 65 possible input combinations, which translates to a lot. Even if a mean-spirited hacker were to learn the final ladder step required for the coin flips to act favorably, they would still have no idea on how to input the actual password used to reach this ladder step. It's an encrypted Mario Maker level, whose security does not rely on obscuring its key, but on a very simple hashing function. Hooray! So is this level? Absolutely no way to ever beat it, totally impossible, while at the same time not using any glitches. Is this the perfect legally impossible level? Well, time will tell. So first there's always a chance that I missed something extremely dumb and obvious that makes the level cheesable, which would be really funny and might have happened, but let's just assume that is not the case. If we didn't miss anything obvious, then I'm actually quite confident that cracking this level will provide the wonderful level murderers of the Mario Maker community with quite a headache. The encryption mechanism is far from perfect, it still has a couple of weaknesses that may be exploitable, but I suspect that it is quite strong. Our main problem with this design are that there are an insane amount of hash collisions, that the resulting hash actually gives a bit of a hint to the original key, and that the final result is produced by additions, which means that the total amount of final states isn't terribly large, but well, let's put it this way, I wouldn't exactly encrypt my credit card information using the system, but between theoretical weaknesses and someone actually being able to exploit them lies a vast ocean of reality. I'm quite curious to learn how far the Mario Maker community is willing to swim. In the end, however, the only way to know whether an encryption algorithm is truly safe is to publish it and to have the public go wild on it. I'm not sure if this encryption algorithm is going to stand the test of time, but I honestly wouldn't be mad if someone managed to decipher this, because what I'm actually certain about is that if we were to hack the code, we would certainly learn something new and fun about Mario Maker. But as of now, this level's encryption is impossible to decipher, until proven otherwise. Hooray! So here we have it, a hypothesis for a legally impossible level that is now ready to be peer-reviewed. Before we wrap this up, just 2 more things. So first, as always, a gigantic thank you to all my wonderful patrons whose names are currently scrolling by. These wonderful people not only regularly get access to small bonus scripts and little additional videos, but without their generous support, wicked cybercriminality like this one wouldn't be possible. A huge thank you to them for that. Second, a gigantic thank you to Psycrow for derailing me into this madness, while at the same time providing helpful tips and ideas to derail me even further. Third, a huge thanks to all my friends that had to navigate difficult and slightly awkward social situations over the past couple of months because I would randomly go onto unstoppable clown car ramblings. Fourth, the shout out to Lycrick who uploaded It Rhymes with Toad, as well as to the wonderful people that managed to decipher this very level. This stage is very much built upon the work that they put in before. A huge thank you to them for that. I believe that they were actually working on a video retelling the story of their little adventure of how they beat It Rhymes with Toad, a video to which I unknowingly ended up beating them to because It Rhymes with Toad happened to pop up in my own research for this little project, so I thought I'd just mention that. At least I personally would very much enjoy to learn more about how exactly they decrypted the previously most secure Mario level, how they built their decryption tools, and to learn more unique insights from them. If such a video ever ends up seeing the light of day, I'd be more than happy to give it a shout out. Finally, is the blinking animation of a clown car relevant for anything else? Well, yes, it can not only be used for encryption, it can also be used for troll levels. For example, it should be possible to come up with a stage in which a Hammer Bros hammer only spares the player if they walked through a door at the exact same moment that a clown car had its eyes closed. There is huge untapped sadistic potential here. Just to be clear, I'm not saying that anyone should use this tech to terribly annoy our beloved Mario Maker streamers. I'm just heavily implying it. Hooray! So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to leave me a thumbs up and maybe feel especially blinking today and want to hit the subscribe button as well. Finally, if you truly loved the video and want to support videos like this one, then there is also the option to support the channel via Patreon. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, lots of hugs.